Hi, today I'm just going to take you through what I would be doing for my Google Cloud exam. So I'm currently preparing for my Google Cloud exam, and I want to show you guys how I'm going to be preparing for that. So basically, I'm participating in the Get Certified program where if I'm able to like complete six challenges, skills badges, I would be able to get like a free exam voucher. So I've done two of that, and this is my third one. I have to do a couple of labs and then watch a couple of videos. So I'm starting with the lab first, then the challenge, then I'll watch the video because I had already seen some of the videos. So for today's lab, what I'm doing is I'm building a secure Google network. And the first lab is we are securing virtual machines. So Google has this thing called virtual machines using Chrome Enterprise. So I'm just going through each of the tasks in the lab. I'll walk you through what I'm doing. So I've done the first one. There's a checkpoint mark here to show where I've gotten to. So the first task was for me to create like three different instances, one Linux and two Windows. So one for demonstration purpose, which is a Linux and a window, and then a Windows one for testing. And then before that, I had already enabled this cloud identity aware proxy API on my console. So I'll be switching back between this screen and then the other screen. I have like an incognito tab, this screen here and then this other one. So this is where my lab is. So I don't have to like I there's each lab comes with its own dedicated account. So it's easier for me if I open it on an incognito browser compared to opening it on a new Windows or a new tab. So I've done the first two, which is some reason my computer is hanging. So yeah, so I've done the first two tasks, the first task which is to create all three instances. So this is it here. This one came with it. So I've created the Windows IAP, the Linux IAP, identity aware proxy, and then one for testing. So if I check my progress, oh yeah, and then this time is like because each labs come with a specific cloud point. I have to complete the lab in this particular time. If not, once it ends, I won't be able to get access to that account anymore unless I restart the lab. So I'm going to move on to task three now. So the next task is to we haven't created firewall rules for our instances, our virtual machine instances, right? I know this is like really jumping into it. Perhaps I'm going to do another video on just like introducing what each of these things are, and then maybe we could watch a few videos together, and then we'll talk about what they do, and then I'll if anyone has any knowledge on maybe how AWS does things or Microsoft Azure, we could chat and then see how that works. Right. So the next one is to now we've created the instances. We want to test our Linux IP and then the Windows IP to ensure that they are not able to access the virtual machines without external IP. So when I was creating the virtual machines, I the external IPv4, I made sure to select none so that if you look at it here, you can see these two, this Linux here and then this one here doesn't have external IP address, but we just want to make sure that they do not have like external IP address. Although the SSH is still there and it's clickable, but we just like you can clearly see that we do not have like um any external IP. Okay. No. So it says we should confirm by clicking on the instance name, going to SSH. I think over and over SSH, but usually the fastest way to confirm is just here. If it doesn't have an external IP, it won't like bring it up here. So for the Windows IP, we click on the RDP button and ensure we get a message similar to does not have an external IP. So yeah, for connectivity, this one is not even showing up at all. So yeah, and that's because it does not have like external IP. Okay. So the next task is to configure the required firewall rules, right? So what we are going to do is I'm going to open a navigation menu, select virtual private cloud network, then go to firewall and click create firewall rules. So sometimes because of the way this lab is structured and because we are kind of like building a secured network from scratch, that's why we didn't create like the firewall rules or even use the um default firewall rules. So I'm going to go to VPC, go to firewall, VPC network, go to firewall. Yeah. So this are all default firewall rules that come. But because we didn't select any of that, it didn't create. We'll probably be getting more into this, but now we have to create one specifically for those instances that we've created, right? So what we want to do is we want to create a rule, a firewall rule. Then so because I'm doing this lab, I have to use like the same name because that's what we're checking, right? So basically we want to allow ingress from IAP. That's the name of our rule. So allow ingress from IAP. You can add a description if you want. Direction of traffic is ingress. Let me see. And then the target is all instances in the network. So let me see. Target is what all instances in this network. So source filter is IP ranges. If we're going to use IPv6, we would probably have extended it like when we were creating the instance. So uh we'll put this here. Let me see. I think it should be there. I feel like I still really struggle a lot with networking. It's something I'm not really familiar with, so sometimes I just like budge through. But I really need to understand all of these IPv4 and then IPv6. I've done it a few times, but I really do not understand it as much as I understand resource management, allocation, and all of those things on GCP compared to like the main networking part of things, like the network security. I'll probably have to spend a lot of time on doing this to make sure that I get it to make sure that it's working as it should. So we do not have a second source filter, but we need to set protocols and select TCP. Let me see. TCP and so we are not allowing all protocols, just TCP, and then enter 22 to allow both SSH and RDP respectively. Since we have two types of virtual instance. We have both the Linux one and then the TCP one. So I'm just going to select port 22 and then which one? 3389. 33 3389. Then I'll click create. So where's the create? You know what? Guys, I'll probably have to like really read up on network security and then get more insight into the firewall. But basically, in GCP, when you create like an a virtual machine instance, even if when you don't set the network, it comes generally with a default firewall rule, which is this four that we have here. So basically allows SSH, RDP, internal, and then ICMP for external communication and all of those things. But this one came with, I mentioned that when we're looking at, we have this startup VM. So it came with that startup VM. Let me see if I can open that by the side to show you guys. Yeah, this one. So those default networks that we're seeing came with the startup VM. Unlike when I was creating these three virtual machine instances, I didn't create them with the default firewall. That's why we have to come here to create a firewall rule for them. So that has been created. I think I can check now. So I'll check my progress to see if that has been done. Yes, it has been done. Okay. So the next thing is granting permissions to use IEP TCP forwarding. So this IEP basically means identity aware protocol. So next thing is we want to identity aware proxy. Sorry. So next we want to go to we want to configure some resources to make sure that our virtual machines can use like the right grant them the right permission for them to access like the right APIs, right? So the next thing we'll go to, let me see. It says go to navigation menu, select security, and then where is it? Identity aware proxy. Okay. So basically, this what this IAP does is that it allows us manage who has access to services hosted on our compute engine, app engine, or any load balancer, right? So, um, based on we can easily kind of manage our access. I mean, we all know what I similar to what the IAM does, where we can manage who has who can view something, who can create something, who can look at those or even connect to those virtual machine instances that we've created. So we've created a computer engine virtual machine instance now. Go and see if you can see me live. Go on your YouTube video and see if my live stream is working. This one on your phone. Yeah. Kiba Masoro than I probably should have checked before I started. But yeah. Mm. Okay. So Switch to SSH and TCP resources tab. Let me see SSH and TCP resources tab. There we go. Right. So we can already see some warning here. I'm trying to see if we can see what the warning is about. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's definitely about the policy admin and all of those things. But let's see. So I'm selecting the Linux and Windows virtual machine now. This is it. So we've selected two resources. Now we would add principal. So we want to add like chat with me now. So basically, we want to add grant access to a new principal. The principal basically means like um who can access that resources, right? Who's the person that can do something on these two resources. So we want to grant access to a new person. So it could be a service account, it could be a user. So you look at it here, principals could be like a service account, it could be a user, it could be a domain, or it could be a group. So you know when you create like Google groups or even regular users, or and then it could be a domain or a service account. So yeah, in the service account, so it says click card principal, then enter the service account associated with your Windows connectivity VM. This should be of the form. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like they're giving us like a service account here to so this service account is associated with my Windows connectivity virtual machine. So a quick one, when I was creating, let me just go back, cancel. Basically, as I said earlier, we created two virtual machines, right, for testing, which is this Linux and then Windows. Then we created one for connectivity. That this connectivity on as like the external IP address, but for the one for testing does not have like their external IP address. And when I was creating it for the operating system I used for this particular virtual machine does not it's not Windows or Linux. It was actually like a resource that came that's already on these quick labs to that have been given. So the image and all of these things came with it. So I'm guessing that the service account is also part of it. That's why we have it here. So now we want to like create um tell these two instances that this new principal that we're adding, this new savings account that we're adding, it's the one for our Windows connectivity virtual machine, right? So it's associated with our Windows virtual machine, the one for connection, the one I said has the external IP address. And yes, so I've created it. I think this is it. Yeah. Okay. So it says we should assign role. So I'm going to assign role by product. Let me see. So instead of assigning like a basic role which has like a lot of things, right? Which has like the a basic role in GCP has like it's not fine tuned. So you can fine tune it based on the IAM policy, or you can fine tune it based on project or even based on like product. So we are because the cloud we are using the cloud IP identity our proxy product now. So we want to fine tune it based on the product, right? We want to give it some roles. So either we give it the admin, secured user, intermediary. This is a better one, and tunnel user. I think we are supposed to select the one for tunnel users. Okay. Do we need to add any I am condition? No. Then we save. Right. Looks like we've added a new principal. And then it says from the top right of the page, I should copy my profile and email of my student account. So yeah, it is. Here's my student account email. And then I'm going to add it as a principal again. So now instead of a service account, I'm adding like a user, and I'm going to give assign a role based on the product as well. The same tunnel user. Let me see. And then we see. Okay. So for these two, we have two types of principals. We have the policy admin, which is and then we have two secure tunnel users, and then we have the owner as well, which is like the owners of the quick lab. Oh my god, let me see. Please don't go away. I think I mistakenly. But thankfully both account has been created. Let me see. Yes. Okay, yeah, I have like both accounts now. So save. So I've created the two I am rows now. So I can just check my progress to see if it's correct. Yes, it's correct. And then the last one is, so we need to now test the connectivity, right? So remember I said we created like a Windows to test our connection and all of those things. We've created the right proper access to those two virtual machines by adding my student email as a principal and then giving it the role of tunnel user and also the service account as well. So it says it is possible to use IAP desktop to connect to instances using GUI blah 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 from an instance with Windows desktop. I do not have a Windows desktop. So it says to use IAP desktop to connect to instances in this lab. It says I have to download the RDP file. I should go to my compute engine, which is here, yeah, and then let me see. So I have to download this RDP file. I'll just leave it in my download for now. Okay. But I do not have a remote desktop protocol. I probably should have downloaded that first. Let me see if I can get that. Hey, why is this thing coming like this? Is this the way you what? This is literally just Google search. Why is it coming this way? I need to do it very fast because my lab is ending soon. Okay. So I found one. Let me see. Mm. Okay, looks like I'm adding an extension. Wow. I have 42 minutes, so I have to like really complete it fast. It says to use IP desktop, I should download the RDP file, which I have done. And let me see, is this one downloaded already? No, this is done as well. At this point, I think I'll just stop live streaming for now and then set it up later and come back. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye.